The killing of George Floyd, Eric Garner, the torture of Abner Louima, that's not law and order. The president seems to think that dominating black people, dominating peaceful protesters is law and order. It's not. He calls them thugs. Who is the thug here? Hiding in a bunker? Hiding behind a suit? Who is the thug?
Good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Tuesday, June 2nd, and this is Q News Tonight, the world's first live LGBTQ daily evening news. It is time to queer up the news.
Tonight in Queer News, we report the bishop furious that Trump used their church to create a photo op. God is not a prop.
Distressing news as a Chicago police officer caught on video insulting a protester with the word faggot.
We discuss Blackout Tuesday on Instagram today as stars Laverne Cox and Rihanna stand with the Black Lives Matter.
Adam Schiff introduces the resolution to end gay blood ban.
We report that Grindr gets with the times and drops the horrid ethnicity filter to stand behind Black Lives Matter.
In Quarantine Quickies, we provide you coronavirus facts, including today's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases and deaths, and the top and worst states for testing. We also report a gay church in Atlanta that is going to offer free COVID-19 testing to anyone who walks up. And finally, the news that China withheld COVID-19 information to the World Health Organization's frustration.
In Coronavirus Good News, the Tennessee National Guard was asked to lay down their riot shields, and they did just that.
In our fast-paced and fun The Big Finish, we're going to discuss Mark Zuckerberg. He told pissed-off Facebook staff they might change the policy on politicians using violent speech.
And the anti-gay minister, Louis Sheldon, founder of hate group Traditional Values Coalition, is dead at age 85.
We can't seem to get enough. More the Tiger King. So we discuss Carol Baskin has been awarded Joe's Exotics Old Zoo.
In No Context Tuesday, we report of a man cleared after entering a stranger's home carrying a machete during a sexual fantasy mix-up.
The numbers are in. Almost 300,000 LGBTQ couples have tied the knot in the last 5 years.
And at Queer News Tonight, we love celebrating, so we discuss happy 52nd birthday to Andy Cohen.
So good evening again, America. It's 7 p.m. Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. It is time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories we are going to tell tonight on Q News Tonight. Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining us at Q News Tonight. We are live. This is a live show. While you were in the video package, I wish you could have seen what was live. So anything can happen. Tonight we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBTQ community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and this is my co-guest anchor, Misty Eyes.
Hi.
And my anchor friend, Napoleon Plays.
Hey, everyone.
So let's cue up the news. Tonight we bring you the Q headlines. The LGBT community in America is diverse. The LGBTQ community around the world is vast. So we bring you a bullet point of the queer news for today, Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. We begin by queering up religion. Bishop furious that Trump used their church to create a photo op, saying God is not a prop. Watch this.
using flashbangs in front of them and mounted police to clear what has been an entirely peaceful protest.
These images of a police officer striking a cameraman going viral. Then, in a surprise move, the president and his top advisors walked across the park to the historic St. John's Episcopal Church, where a fire was set during demonstrations Sunday night. The president holding up a Bible without any explanation.
Is that your Bible?
It's a Bible.
The Episcopal Bishop of D.C. blasting the president for what she called a photo op and saying she never gave him permission to be there.
He was using our church as a backdrop and the Bible as a prop in ways that I found to be deeply offensive.
Reverend Marianne Buddy, the Episcopal Bishop of Washington, has expressed outrage over President Trump using the church as a prop. St. John's Episcopal Church is where every president since James Madison has worshiped. Yesterday, the president could be seen holding up a Bible that read, "God is love," in front of the church's sign. In particular, the bishop took umbrage with the fact that in order to get this photo op, he had to use tear gas on a peaceful protesters group to open the path for him to walk through Lafayette Park.
Everything about this story is very discouraging. My mom called me earlier today crying about what happened last night while we were on air. I can't believe that this is what our country has been resorting toward, and I am not looking forward to what happens next under the president's watch.
It's an election year, and I'm quite sure that he is pandering for the Christian vote. He's desperate. The world around him is falling apart, and he's like, wait, vote for me. I've got a Bible.
I think it's interesting that today one of the most popular memes that I watched in Facebook, for example, or in Instagram, was a side-by-side picture of Donald Trump holding up that black Bible and Adolf Hitler holding up a black book. It seemed to me that meme said everything that we would want to know.
It's his mentor. We grew up the USA. Chicago police officer caught on video insulting a protester with the word faggot. We've prepared this for you. Watch this.
He wasn't doing anything!
Bitch, wait till I turn my back, you fucking faggot!
Hey, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? He said, what the fuck?
In a disturbing scene caught on video by Chicago drag queen Kim Passable, an officer who is walking towards a police van has an object thrown at him. In case it was not clear what he said, he turns around and says, and I'm quoting now, "You bitch. Wait till I turn my back, you fucking faggot." The reaction was immediate as the crowd was outraged by the comment. It will be interesting how Chicago's mayor, the black lesbian Lori Lightfoot, reacts to this.
I hope that Lori Lightfoot does not come down with a Lightfoot. I hope that she comes down firm, and I hope that she comes down strong.
It's an amazing moment to me that a police officer in any possible way would do anything but be on best behavior and try to represent their department and their city in the most admirable way possible. He clearly did not. It was shocking that he was so angry, and it makes you wonder what other kinds of things he might be willing to do.
I think that's exactly what's going on right now. We see the couple of outliers as far as cops go that are willing to act outside of moral compass that we understand as a society. And that is not the majority, at least I don't believe that. But I am curious to see what Lori will do next, because obviously there will be some repercussion, or at least that's what we've come to expect from what she acts toward.
One can hope. Next week, we're up entertainment. Blackout Tuesday on Instagram today as stars Laverne Cox and Rihanna stand with Black Lives Matter. Instagram has gone dark today in support of Black Lives Matter. Celebrities, including Laverne Cox, Rihanna, and Mariah Carey, are trading their usual slew of photos for simple black squares to symbolize that only one issue matters today. This is a follow-up to the decision by the broader music industry to go silent for a day to create space for action in the wake of George Floyd's killing. It is the movement's hope that this will cause reflection among those who normally are so dependent on social media to interact with one another.
That is, I think, the crucial point. It provides awareness to the situation. It is a counterbalance of needing to march in the streets, much less loot or burn. However, I'm concerned that a action like this is so short-lived it really has very little effect on changing attitudes or supporting what the real principal message was in the first place.
What I'm curious to see happen is some sort of change that is not just the idea of, oh, there was a mass shooting and the next day we will have prayers and thoughts. There have been so many individuals that have died at the hands of cops in this similar course of action. Maybe this will help, maybe it won't, but there are at least actions being received by all of society that are in the last few days something different. Maybe it will cause change.
We continue in our headlines tonight by queering up health. Congressman Adam Schiff introduces a resolution to end the gay blood ban. Adam Schiff of California is leading a group of Democratic lawmakers to dismantle the general gay blood ban and instead institute a case-by-case guidance based on individual risk assessment. In the statement, Schiff said there were many healthy adults willing to give blood that currently cannot, and it was well past time to change and make this change made. The resolution would bring to an end discriminatory practices of the past and instead allow scientific measurements to guide policy. It remains to be seen if the resolution will receive a floor vote.
It's definitely an interesting time to see this come up in front of any sort of vote. Obviously, right now with Corona and people needing more blood, this has been a source of conversation, and there is a slower amount of time or a less amount of time that people need to have not engaged in gay sex. That's still not been my lifetime. I still am technically not qualified to donate blood just because I'm gay and have had sex with men. That's unfortunate.
Really?
It's high
You
time.
have?
It's high time that they pass this law. They have to test every single blood, no matter who donates it. They have to make sure it's drug and disease free. And it doesn't matter who donates it.
These are slavery changes, slavery chains of the past.
True.
This is a reminder of the AIDS epidemic that is a
fear.
Still, but it's an unwarranted fear in our blood supply.
Nonsense.
And it's really just totally nonsense. It's time to make the change.
We queer up the world. Grindr gets with the times and drops the horrid ethnicity filter to stand behind Black Lives Matter. After years of jeers by the LGBTQ community, Grindr has finally succumbed to pressure and removed the ability to search by ethnicity from their platform. The feature had long been a lightning rod for criticism as a rash of no blacks, no fats, no femmes type users were in vast supply on the platform. On Monday, the company released a statement saying they stand with Black Lives Matter and that they had made a donation to the Marsha P. Johnson Institute. In a welcome change, it is hard to see this as anything other than a timely publicity opportunity given to the years of backlash the company endured to keep this feature in.
I'm conflicted. Part of me does think this might be a publicity stunt, or maybe it's just the right time. I don't care why you're doing something good, do something good. But I think they should go even further. And when somebody puts in their profile, no fats, no femmes, they should be deleted.
What about Asians?
No fats, no femmes, no Asians, no bears, no twinks, whatever. Like
Thanks, kimchi.
Yeah, we're living in a philosophy of the past. Even if that is our preferences or choices, which are completely okay, why express them publicly to a shareable situation?
They should also block all profiles with a capital T for no frickin' reason.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole idea of ice cream and partying being blocked is upsetting. The difficult part about this is that Grindr is a social platform for all of the gay community. It is one of the tiers of gay community and social isolation especially. But I'm not sure if this is a publicity stunt or something that is just there for actually benefiting the gay community. I know that there would be many people that would benefit from the lack of discrimination that could be amplified by their platform. I just don't see them being able to adjust to those needs.
Well,
it's not possible.
At the minimum, we applaud their change. It's long overdue. We queer up the news tonight by first saying, let's catch up on all of the news surrounding COVID-19 with our quarantine quickies. The first story tonight is our daily reporting of coronavirus facts, especially important to the LGBT community. So therefore, quarantine quickies, coronavirus facts for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. We report on the number of coronavirus case numbers tonight based on the standard acceptance of 7% of LGBT population. The world's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases now stand at nearly 450,000 worldwide, and in America, LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at just over 130,000. The total cases in the U.S. is 1.4 million, and we remind you that America is ground zero of the pandemic. The American population is just 4.4% of the world, but we account for 29% of all of the world's cases. That percentage is slightly lower today. Now we report on coronavirus deaths as of today. The world's LGBTQ COVID-19 loss of life now stands at nearly 26,500 in our community, and in the United States, LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at nearly 7,500 deaths. Total world deaths at 378,000, total USA deaths at 107,000. Again, America is nearly a third of all of the COVID deaths on the planet, currently accounting for 28.2% of all of the deaths in the world. President Trump and Vice President Pence have said a lot of ridiculous things about testing to the LGBT community, and therefore, let's report on the testing facts as of today. America has tested 18 million and nearly 163,000 tests have been taken. But this number continues to be dismal. We give the government a grade of C because there are 328 million Americans, which means 5 months into this pandemic, we've only tested 5.5% of the population, and the medical community recommends in the reopenings that we're watching, a testing rate of 10% is required. Despite what Trump and Pence tell the LGBT community, testing and contact source tracing is the #1 solution to pandemic. So, Q News Tonight recognizes our Hall of Fame top states in testing. This is a great place for LGBT to live. Number 3 is New Mexico at nearly 10%, number 2, New York over 10%, and number 1 continues to be Rhode Island. Unfortunately, Q News Tonight recognizes our Hall of Shame states. Why, after 5 months, are they doing such a terrible job? LGBTQ America, we hope you don't live in one of these states. Number 5, Ohio. Number 4, Colorado. Number 3, Oregon. Number 2, Idaho. And we continue to report there's virtually no testing going on the island of Puerto Rico.
Quarantine Quickies. A gay church in Atlanta is to offer free COVID-19 testing to any who walk up. St. Mark United Methodist Church is going above and beyond the call of duty to ensure its community is safe during the pandemic. The church is now offering free walk-up COVID-19 testing for the next 2 Tuesdays, with more testing in the future being a possibility. The church is partnering with the Fulton Board of Health and the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, whose patriarch owns the Atlanta Falcons, to make this all possible.
I think it's great news. First off, a gay church. Everyone knows here in South Florida, Q News Tonight and the Happening Out television network supports the Sunshine Cathedral. For a gay embracing church to be able to offer walk-up COVID-19 testing, I think is amazing.
Hopefully we'll see more churches, more religious institutions go forward with this idea and this initiative, because this is the only way to keep all of our country safe. I'm not sure why this isn't making more headlines as we see this happen among more religious bodies, but maybe we'll see that happen. Apparently not.
I like it when LGBTQ places help everyone, like SunServe. We help anybody. Quarantine Quickies. China withheld vital COVID information to the frustration of the World Health Organization. We have a video for you. Watch this.
The Associated Press has a major story this morning breaking, saying that there were 6 key days when this outbreak started where top Chinese officials kept it quiet. They knew that this was all developing. They essentially covered it up. They let millions of people travel around the Lunar New Year. And here we are now with thousands of Americans who have died, our entire economy upended. What do you plan to do? What can you do in the days ahead to hold China accountable?
In January, even when the World Health Organization was publicly praising China for its quick response and amazing transparency, behind the scenes the story was much different. Despite that, the World Health Organization was saying China sat on releasing, oh my goodness, despite what the World Health Organization was saying, China sat on releasing the genetic map of the virus for more than a week after their own state-run labs had decoded it, which critically slowed down the global response to the virus. The officials were praising China to coax information out of the government, while privately they complained every day until they were given the information they needed.
Well, this is exactly what President Trump has said, and it is factually correct. However, even in the delay from China, which was bad, it was the exact same delay in the United States. Our government did the exact same thing that the Chinese government did. And so it's bad on both hands. China needs to be transparent, and the United States government needs to be transparent.
No, it's definitely worse on our end, because while China may have held it off for a single week, we didn't test anything. We didn't go into any of the information as far as COVID-19 and the spread with which it would happen. We've seen it take over our entire country, the entire world. We didn't look into that at all for months, or at least for several weeks afterward. We're much more in fault than China was for holding off at the very start of this entire pandemic.
I remember back in January and February, a lot of my coworkers were like, oh my goodness, look at these pictures coming out of China, but they were being covered up and they were being lied about. They were trying to say nothing was happening, and yet, sure enough, it was happening.
We queue up our segment called Coronavirus Good News. After we finish our quarantine quickies, we like to lighten it up. We've reported all of the statistics and facts for the day, but now we want to report on something that made us smile today in Coronavirus Good News. Coronavirus Good News. The Tennessee National Guard was asked to lay down their riot shields, and they did just that. In a story that made me smile, the National Guard in Tennessee agreed to put down their riot shields after a protester, Justin Jones, asked them to do so. It's been a tough week, but scenes like this give us all hope. Something about this story makes this coronavirus good news. We report on this. Watch the video.
I want to invite these law enforcement, these troopers, to lay down your swords and shields and join us.
Beautiful, brother, beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful, brother, beautiful, beautiful.
Tonight, we are broadcasting from our studio.
That's really good news. I agree with you. It's really, really good news.
We like the good news. Yay!
We do like the good news.
Right.
We need
love
a smile.
Hey, everyone wants that smile.
This is live. Sometimes we mess up, you guys. Sorry.
Right. And tonight, also, we are broadcasting from our studio set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Education Center. See, now I'm just waiting for them to interrupt me. The museum is in Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Come check it out.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this living museum possible.
You might have heard it before, but we joke that we're coming from the gayest place on planet Earth.
From my view and my seat, it's not a joke. I look around the table.
I'm a heterosexual woman.
They're so mean.
We end tonight's broadcast with the big finish. Short story mentions of LGBT news and news with a gay perspective. So here we go. First on Q News Tonight's The Big Finish. Anti-gay minister Louis Sheldon, founder of the hate group Traditional Values Coalition, is dead at 85.
I cannot imagine a life quotedly serving God that is defined by hate and obstinance toward an entire group. Maybe we'll see differences happen as we go forward after, everything that's going on now with coronavirus, with the murder hornets, with everything else. I doubt it.
How can we possibly say the word minister and founder of a hate group in the same sentence? That boggles me. But I will say, I don't wish ill on anybody. May you rest in peace.
That's why you have to be Jewish.
I resist making the joke and making the joke about him. And the reason I don't make the joke about him is I don't see any difference in the horrible things that they've done at gay funerals and many things that they have done through the years, and me making a joke right now. So I'll say rest in peace, but you definitely should be reading my mind. In the big finish, Carol Baskin has been awarded Joe Exotic's Old Zoo.
Of course she has. I apparently have no idea how the law works. Bitching about being attacked gets you other people's property. That bitch Carol Baskin.
Oh, I bet Joe is coming out of his skin right now. I'm sure he's in that prison cell just... You know he really hated her. That bitch Carol Baskin, I'll kill her.
That's really scary.
Yeah, it is.
She's from Alaska, you know.
I don't get it,
Wow.
y'all.
But I lived in Oklahoma.
Y'all hate it, but you also love it because you make fun of it. What is it about this and this entire franchise of why we think the crazy is so entertaining? I just don't.
It was peer pressure for me. Everyone I knew watched it, so I had to watch it too. Plus, I lived in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At a time in my life.
And now Florida, apparently. Yeah. That makes
It reminds me, we've got to do a big finish on living in Oklahoma and going to Oral Roberts University.
Sure.
The big finish. Almost 300,000 LGBTQ couples have tied the knot in the last 5 years.
That's so cute. I haven't been invited to enough weddings. What the hell is the problem here?
Oh, I think it's great news. Unfortunately, I'm not included in that number. I married my husband as a woman and he's a man, so we had a straight wedding. But if I would have done it before I changed my name and gender, I would have been.
I'm just pausing long enough to let that sink in.
That I'm a woman and he's a man and we're in a straight relationship?
I just happen to think that almost 300,000 LGBTQ couples, President Obama, take a bow. Yeah. Take a bow, because it happened because of you and a 5-4 vote on the Supreme Court. However, I think it's wonderful. Wait, is it wonderful? Because the LGBT community got exactly what everyone else's community got, 50% divorce rates.
That's true too.
In the big finish, no context Tuesday, a man is cleared. I can't wait to hear this. A man is cleared after entering a stranger's home carrying a machete during a sexual fantasy mix-up.
I don't understand the headline. We just reported on Grindr not discriminating. A machete is just a sign of adventure. Why would anybody be against this? That is hateful.
What about... Okay, I need receipts. I don't know where my mind was going. I'm trying to learn Spanish, you guys, and my brain is wacky. I need receipts. Was there money exchange? Prove to me that you were hired to go to somebody else's house. And by the way, next time, double check the address. You could have been shot.
America, if you want to hear really, really great Napoleon Plays stories, private message me. I cannot tell you how many times I have been called at 2:40 in the morning with Napoleon in tears about something that has happened with a machete in some house.
It does not take that much to get me into tears, okay? Sometimes it's just a wild night.
The big finish. Happy 52nd birthday to Andy Cohen.
He seems like such a fun guy. And as Napoleon Plays, that not only gives me many ideas, it makes me wonder what he really likes. That doesn't seem like it's appropriate for this conversation as far as this news channel goes. Maybe he's into machetes. I don't know. We could figure that out.
Did you know that Andy became the first openly gay host of a late-night talk show with the premiere of Watch What's Happening Live with Andy Cohen? That started in 2019. Happy 11 years and happy birthday, Andy.
I think it's interesting that his married wife or his married husband, depending on perspective, Anderson Cooper, that the two of them are happily married and they are the power couple of LGBTQ in America. Everybody thinks it's Ellen, but it is not. It's AC squared. So happy birthday, Andy Cohen.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Remember, if it's important to the LGBTQ community, it's important to Q News Tonight. But you must help us. Please click subscribe on YouTube and share this news.
We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. This is the only source of live LGBTQ news in the world. Your community needs your support. Now, Misty and I are going to turn and watch Napoleon.
You are not alone. We will get through this together. We will, though.
We are here with you, and this is Q News Tonight.
We are really silly tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Al Ferguson, and on behalf of my co-anchor, guest host, Misty Eyes, and Napoleon Plays,
for while I'm here,
we are going to see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night.